Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to day 6 of Azumi game dev. Uh, I just woke up. This is technically day 7, the beginning of day 7. I crashed fucking hard yesterday. Uh, Anybody who for some reason is following these private game. Wow, I just totally fucked up. Holy shit. I'm not awake yet, but I gotta get this shit done. This is the number one thing. For anybody who is, for some reason, following these game dev vlogs, and not anything else I do, we did a long I Am Game stream on Mega Man 11 with our buddy Ben, and then I got like 2 hours of sleep, and then we got like immediately back up, got food, and I stayed up all day and did work. So I crashed fucking hard around 1 a.m. and now it's 8:30 in the morning. I'm awake again. I'm gonna work for a bit before I record the Procrastinators podcast today. So, busy weekend. I keep doing this weird hand gesture where I just take the back of my right hand and slam it against my palm of my left hand. I've been doing that ever since we did the stream. This is my new tism that you can't see. But that's the update. Number one is that I've developed a weird fucking that's the motortism, I suppose you could call it. I don't get it. But nobody gives a shit about that. Yesterday was really a lot about polish, like light polish. So nothing's really changed. There's really nothing I can even show you right now that would be any noticeably different. So if I bring up Construct 3, everything looks the same. The only things that really changed yesterday were some tweaking. I tweaked a bit in terms of adjusting the speed of stuff. Like I started playing with the speed and acceleration of the dodge, which you can't really tell, but like it's a little bit faster in terms of like how fast you move and how quickly the dodge resolves. I think I might even make it faster still. I think I don't want to spam the dodge. Like I don't want you to be able to spam the dodge. Just right now, once all those after images fade, that's when you can dodge again. But it doesn't feel great. Like it's hard to really balance for gameplay because I don't have any gameplay yet. So I'm kind of making a lot of assumptions, which might be a bad way to work now that I think about it and talk about it out loud. It might be better to just get mechanics implemented and tweak once there's actually some gameplay to tweak around. But right now I'm reacting a lot to raw game feel. One of the things I'm most sensitive to when I'm playing video games is game feel. So like right out of the gate, like I want things to feel great. Like if I can like run around in this tiny little test area and feel good, then I feel like I'm on the right path. I feel. But I don't know. I guess that's because that's the most immediate thing, and really the only thing you can focus on in such a limited little setup that I have right now. I'm kind of getting lost in the weeds on that, and maybe that's a bad thing. So, in that regard, I spent a lot of yesterday after I did a little bit of tweaking with like some of the game feel stuff. I started watching like hours and hours of GDC presentations on level design. Level design is definitely the thing I'm the most afraid of in this process because I've never done it before and I don't know anything about it in terms of like a raw academic sense. I've never built levels. I've never thought about building levels because I've never thought about games before. The interesting thing about moving from like animation to games, I've done animation, I've done comics, I've done storytelling, like all of those things I can transplant my knowledge into games in some fashion, but level design is something totally new. So I never thought about it before. So I'm going into that totally blind. What makes a good platforming level? What will make it fun? I'm not exactly sure. So there's like some weird kind of esoteric ideas of like what I feel is fun because I've played platformers before, but in terms of reverse engineering it and making it apparent in this game, and then trying to on top of that taking those things that I find fun and making them work with the mechanics that I kind of envision this game having, yeah, there's a lot to kind of digest there. So I started watching some videos to kind of like get my kind of the gray matter working and figuring out what exactly I can bring to the table with level design. And again, this is just like a vertical slice. In fact, I was thinking of maybe calling the game Azumi in the Vertical Slice, because it's kind of a pun. You know, it's just sword play, vertical slice, technical term in game dev, Lamau. Naming was another thing. I actually watched a vlog where some guy was talking about ways to name your game, and one of the things was just like character and then suffix or subtitle. And I thought maybe Azumi and I could do things like that. Because I've been trying to think of like what do I want to call this game. I still have no fucking idea. I wasn't sure if I wanted to call it Azumi because I wasn't sure that was going to be great with SEO, you know, because it's. I mean, I don't know if Azumi is like a popular character name. Uh, don't really know. I haven't even gotten that far because this first game, again, it's a demo or a vertical slice, so I'm not really thinking too much about releasing it. I'm going to release it for free on Newgrounds. That's kind of the plan. Not really going to sell it or do anything like that. It's not going to be monetized because, again, like this is my first project. God, I'm already getting lost in the weeds on this video about getting lost in the weeds. But, yeah, not a whole lot has changed. Everything still plays exactly the same. But I'm thinking, right now, the dodge mechanic and the shurikens both feel kind of meh, but they work. The sword, I think, feels pretty good. And this is because I modeled this very closely after Zero from the Mega Man X series. I just really like the way Zero's swords feel. So if anyone's played Mega Man X or Mega Man Zero, you can see the sword combo is very similar. And I don't think that's bad. But, yeah, there's just a lot of uncertainty at this point. And as I kind of start getting like the very basics of the mechanics and stuff figured out and nailed down, the rest of the task starts to become more in focus, at least in terms of what needs to be done. And so that leads to a lot of unknowns. Still haven't gotten that smoke taken care of yet, but I will. I will do that. The majority of what I did from a technical standpoint yesterday was actually, you could technically even consider it a waste of time. The second character, which doesn't have a name yet, I was just working on texture painting. So we've got a pretty long way here. You can see there's no eyes, and that's on purpose. I'm going to have the eyes on a second texture layer so they can cycle through like Azumi is. Azumi has her eyes on a separate texture as well. They're not going to be modeled just because this is very, very low poly. If we go out of render view and go into material mode and tab in, you can see there's really not enough faces to sculpt an eye in there. You could, but it would look very polygonal. And I've done that a couple times. And for humanoid models where the eyes are really small, you can get away with it. With this kind of character with much larger, more expressive eyes, I don't think sculpting like 4 or 5 point polygons, 4 or 6 point polygons, I know my math, would really work all too well. So, yeah, the geometry on the face isn't fantastic, and the most difficult part with the face is going to be finding where to put the eyes. Because if we open up this tab over here and we go into my reference, and just hit H for a sec, you can see the eyes are kind of sitting on the side of the head from the side view, but in the front view they're very visible from the front, and this is just because it's the nature of 2D. You can break physics and do whatever you want. But obviously I can't really do that in 3D, so finding where to place the eyes. Putting them on the side here, like in side view over there, which you can't see anymore. Yeah, now you can. You know, putting them right here would make them like floating on like this edge of the face, and then you'd have this huge wide gap and it would look very derpy. But by the same token, putting them on the front and mirroring the front view like this, you know, the eyes would kind of just float right in front of here and look very weird as well. So there's going to be some give there, and there's going to be some play. I'm probably going to pull a lot of these points and adjust what little I can with the facial structure to kind of make all that work. That's going to be a lot of just wrestling. You know, obviously the texturing still isn't done. There's still some details I still have to iron out. But the reason I say I kind of got lost in the woods here as well is because I don't think this character is even going to be in the vertical slice. You know, this is a character that narratively I'm interested in for what little narrative is going to be in these Azumi games. But just, I guess I was thinking more long term because Azumi's not just going to be a simple little platformer vertical slice. She's a character. I'm going to make animations and comics and all this other stuff. And this character is going to be a big part of that. But in terms of like getting a game, a vertical slice, or a demo delivered by next month, because my plan is I want to have something out before I'm 30, which I turned 30 on November 8th. Today is October 7th. So it's a little over a month to get all this shit out the door. So, like, am I wasting my time on a character that's not going to be in this game? Because if I step back and think in the larger, like, Azumi multimedia project, yes, this character is very important to get done. But if I think about this particular project that I'm working on inside that bigger multimedia endeavor, this seems like a waste of time if I'm trying to get something deliverable and done in 30 days, especially if it's a deliverable of something I've never attempted before. So, yeah, prioritizing, very confusing, not smart about that. I don't know. That's really the thing. It's like, do I want a deliverable of this game, or do I want a deliverable of like an animation, or like being put myself in a situation where I can start putting out animations and comics and little like 4-panel things or whatever by the time I'm 30. Ideally, I'd like to do both. Like, I've kind of put this weird timer on myself that like once I hit 30, I'm probably going to have some like weird existential crisis, because I've always felt weird about turning 30, and I want to have something under my belt I can be proud of before I hit 30, and I guess I'm really leaving it up to the fucking wire. But yeah, that's where I'm at. If you want to sound off in the comments, feel free. I don't know if I'll listen, but I'll try to listen if anybody responds. But I'm bad at checking comments is what I mean. Not that I'm going to ignore anybody. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Today, I'm going to spend the next couple hours, and I think I'm just going to go back to the game. Because I know that that's something that I want to get out the door. So that's where I'm going to be at, doing that. Yeah, I don't know. Just trying to get shit done. Trying to use my time wisely. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.